Hello, Ms. Kaya. I hope all is well with you. I want to go over your graphing of one-step inequalities. Since I have already returned this assignment to you, and I'm still seeing some errors in your graphing the inequalities on the number line, I want to go through them so that it is clear how to actually graph them. I want to also encourage you to make sure that you are familiar with the number line, and I will link an instructional video for you. So let's talk about what we have here. Now, one-step inequality, solve each inequality and graph it. You did them correctly. Okay, so all of these are correct. So good job there. You graphed some of your inequalities correctly on the number line, but there are a few where you made an error or you did not clearly mark where your X value started and where it ends. Okay, so let's talk about that. Number one, we have X is greater than 1. So on the number line, we have, going to the left, the numbers that are smaller than 0. These are your negative. Toward the right, we have all of your positive numbers, and they are greater than 0. For number one, you are correct. X is greater than 1. So X will be any value that's greater than 1. You could have it right here, okay? But you did mark it where X is greater than 1. It's not equal to 1, but it's greater than 1. So you could have an open dot right on 1 to indicate that it's any number that's greater than 1. It doesn't equal 1, but it's any number that's greater than 1. Okay, so that's how you will mark that. For number 2, we have X is less than or equal to 3. So if X is less than or equal to 3, you want to have your dot on the 3, because it's going to be actually 3, and then it's going to be going to the left because it's less than or equal to any number that is 3. So it's going to go this direction. It's 3 or any number less than 3, okay, not greater. So your arrow should not be pointing to the right, but to the left, okay? So now let's look at number 3. X is greater than or equal to 6. So your dot is going to be on the 6, but you do not have your dot here, so you want to make sure your dot is on the 6. And it's going to be 6 and any number that's greater than 6, so it's going in this direction, which you have it going in the right direction. But you also want to make sure that it's directly on the 6, okay? Now for number 4, X is less than 1 or equal to 1. So let's look at what you have for number 4. You want to make sure that you have your dot on the 1, okay? So this is where your dot should be because it is equal to 1. The value of X is equal to 1, but it's also less than 1 as well. So it's equal to or less than 1. It's going to be all of these numbers here to the left, okay? Because negative numbers are smaller than your positive numbers, okay? Now, number 5, we have X is less than or equal to 6. Find 6 on the number line, which is here. You're going to dot it in because it is equal to 6, but it's less than 6, so it's going in this direction. Okay, so that's a less than sign. Now here we have X is greater than, and we know that it's greater than because the open part of the arrow is toward the X, which means that it's the larger number, okay? So anytime this piece here of the arrow, of this arrow here, this means the greater than, okay? That's going to be greater. So if the arrow is pointing to the number where the open piece is toward the X, like this, that means it's greater than. If the X is here, then that means it's less than, because the pointing part of the arrow is toward the X, and that means less than. Okay, so we can say less than, actually. And I hope that helps, okay? Now, we did have this discussion before, okay? So you want to make sure that you are familiar with your greater than or your less than symbol. Okay? Again, whenever the arrow, the open part, is toward the X or any number for that matter, it means that that number is greater than. If the arrow, the pointing part of the arrow, if it's toward the X or any number, that means that it's less than the other number. Okay? So now let's get back to our problems here. So we have number 6. X is greater than or equal to 4. So this should be on the 4, not in between the 4 and the 5, but it should be on the 4 because it's equal to 4. So you're going to have your dot here, and then your arrow is going in the correct direction because X is greater than 4. So X can be equal to 4, but it can also be any number that's greater than 4. And what this means is that if you plug in the number 4, it is true that it will equal to 16. So if you take this, for example, equation here, and I'm just going to show you what this actually means so that we're clear on what it means. So if 4x is greater than or equal to 16, and we said that the value of x would be 4 or any number greater than 4 to make this equation true, then what we can do is we can actually insert the 4 in place of the x or any number greater than 4 in place of the x, and we will actually get a true statement. For example, if 4 times 4, because x is now 4, is greater than or equal to 16. When we multiply 4 times 4, we get 16, greater than or equal to 16. So this equation is actually true. 16 equals 16, which makes this true. The same is true if I took another value that's greater than 4, say for example 5, and I put it here, then we will have 4 times 5 is actually 20. This statement is actually true as well because 20 is greater than 16. Okay, so it's true. Any number that's 4 or greater than 4 will make this expression true. So that's what that means. Let's go back to our grafting. So now we're on number 7. And number 7 says x is less than or equal to 2. So x can be any value that's 2 or less than 2. For number 7, you have, okay, so we want it to be 2 or any value less than 2. So it's going to be going in the left direction where your negative numbers are. So it's going to be on the 2, you're going to have your dot on the 2, and then any number that's less than 2 will make this expression or equation true. Okay? Now, number 8, we have x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 7. So x is greater than or equal to 5. So any number that's 5 or greater than 5 will make x plus 2 greater than or equal to 7. Okay? So now, in order to graph x is greater than or equal to 5, we're going to come to the number line. Your dot should be on 5 because it's equal to 5, but it's also any number that's greater than 5, and you are correct. Your arrow will go in the right direction, and that's toward your positive numbers. Okay? Now, we can check this to make sure that it is correct. If we take any value of x that's 5 or greater, then this should be a true statement. X plus 2 is greater than or equal to 7. If I put 5 in the place of x, because x can be equal to 5, then this statement is true. Because 5 plus 2 is 7, and 7 does equal 7. Okay, so this is a true statement. Likewise, if I put a 6 here, or let's say another number, 7. 7 plus 2, which is greater than 5, because x has to be equal to or greater than 5. 7 plus 2 gives me 9, and this statement is true. 9 is greater than 7. Okay? So this is how you will actually complete your number line. I hope that this has helped. Please give me feedback on whether or not you clearly understand how to actually plot or graph your inequalities on the number line. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.